Mrs. Ormiston leaned forward and eyed me behind her looking-glass, squinting one wrinkled eye while the other was enlarged. "Shall I find the man and provide an introduction?" I shrank back, my stomach fluttering unpleasantly. "No, I thank you, Mrs. Ormiston, but I have no interest in 6,000 a year." "Of course not," Mamma tittered, shaking her head ruefully. "Unless it was 6,000 books. Well, yes, that does sound rather enticing." Mrs. Ormiston looked at me shrewdly. "His 6,000 could purchase you as many books and more, I wager." That was an attractive prospect indeed. I gave the women a patient smile. I needed to move soon, or Mr. Peel would request a dance, and I could not dance. "Mamma, this heat is unbearable, and I'm feeling rather faint. Can I interest you in a walk on the terrace?" Mamma hesitated. She shared a look with Mrs. Ormiston before letting out a soft sigh. "Very well. Perhaps we will find a willing partner on our way across the room." Given the heat, that was a risk I was willing to take. Besides, the only man who consistently sought me out for dances was last seen on the opposite side of the room. We rose, and Mamma took my arm, pulling me close as we navigated through the crowd. "I only want you to find a husband, Lissy. I'm not asking you to marry the first man who smiles at you." "That is fortuitous. I would certainly be Mrs. Peel already if that was the parameter from which we choose my husband." Mamma was not amused. She was not fond of Mr. Peel either, for the man always emitted a ghastly cloud of garlic wherever he went. Truly, did he bathe in it? "But if you are unwilling to meet any men, you will never find someone to love you. I only want you to be as happily cared for and adored as I am, Lissy." My heart lurched with longing. I wanted to love and be loved in much the same way, but as of yet, only one man had entered my heart, and he was not in this ballroom tonight. Nay, he was likely up in Northumberland in solitude, reading beside a warm fire. He was so similar to me in tastes and preferences, I could not imagine another in his place. It was not as though I could merely choose a man who would love and understand me, as Mother believed. She was also under the impression that I could simply choose not to fall into a fit of nerves when placed in the centre of attention, or forced to dance before crowds of strangers. If only it were so easy. We passed the table of refreshments, and I pressed closer to my mother to avoid bumping my shoulder into a man retrieving a drink. He presented the dainty debutante beside him with a glass of lemonade and a startlingly handsome grin, and she giggled. I refrained from scoffing. That young woman made all of us look ridiculous when she laughed over the sake of a grin. It was preposterous. What was so funny about lemonade and a dashing smile? Perhaps I was too practical for romance. "A refreshing drink for a refreshing young woman," the man said, his deep voice inciting another round of giggles. He was tall, his shoulders broad, and his bearing relaxed but dignified. His brown hair framed a pair of greenish-brown eyes that were fastened on the debutante before him, and I suppressed an irritated huff from the sheer insipidity before me. Mamma was unfinished in her campaign. "I want you to find a man who loves you as much as your father loves me." I nodded toward the romantic scene we were passing. "I can guarantee that none of these men would love me as Papa loves you." The man looked up and caught my eye, and I swiftly turned away, tugging Mamma's arm to move us quicker through the room. Had he heard what I said? I'd been speaking softly, the same as Mamma, but the way he'd looked up and held my gaze had dropped a stone into the pit of my stomach. His eyebrows knit and eyes narrowed as though he'd heard my censorious thoughts. Oh dear, I needed to remain on the terrace for the remainder of the evening. Mamma released a long, suffering sigh that reached into my chest and filled me with remorse. She wished for a daughter who would enjoy social functions as much as she did, and I wished for nothing more than solitude and the comfort of dear friends. If I could change my innate desires to better fit the daughter she wanted me to be, I would. But as it stood, I could not. My heart raced, and my fingers shook anxiously, and I needed to be removed from this overcrowded room immediately. Mrs. Plumpley